Call the City of Marine City Commission meeting to order. 200 South Parker, Thursday, November 5th, 7 p.m. Can we please have a moment of silence for our dearly departed? And let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Here.
Commissioner Bryson.
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Callahan.
Here.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Merchant.
Here.
Commissioner Buchanan is absent this evening. City Manager Levin.
Here.
And motion to excuse Cheryl Burkaman, please.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Any questions, concerns on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to public comment. Anyone is welcome to address the city commission. Please state your name, limit your comment to 5 minutes. This is your time for you to raise issues. The commission will not respond, but issues will be followed upon as necessary. Who'd like to speak first? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Betty Bobble, 162 North 6th Street. Okay, I attended the Planning Commission meeting on October 12th. Two reports dated October 6th were given to the Planning Commission. I assume you have copies of a letter to Eileen Levin and the one that was done by Adam Young to the Marine City Planning Commission. Hopefully you've got them and reviewed them, because I think they clearly indicate that this project can't or shouldn't go on. The report from Mr. Ittridge said that they needed a temporary construction route, I'm assuming from King Road. I don't think it needs to be temporary. I think it needs to be permanent in order to have that construction in there. In order to have the traffic afterwards be able to get in and out. They say that they can go down to Butler Street, we're 6th Street, the first street that people would come in and out of. Shortest street, you've got to know that that's the way they're going to come. They're not going to drive down to Butler, which is almost to Parker. They're not going to go to Catherine. They don't really need to go to 5th because already Murray Court comes into 5th Street. And they say that no trucks can go down there because of the water line that is not real big and close to the surface. So I don't understand how that could ever work out. Mr. Young, I was saying when I spoke previously that studies show that it was 5 cars, actually like 2 trips in and out and 1 extra as an average every day for someone who would live in these condos. His report was 9.44, almost double what I said. That's just way too much traffic. I don't see how we can ever handle that amount of traffic on our roads. And we can't even get a straight answer of this. If it's a condo, is it rented? Is it purchased? Are they senior homes? Are they low-income housing? All these things make a difference. I'm imploring you to stop the development until all questions are answered and a permanent road is developed from King Road to the development at Metropolis and non-existent 7th Street. Thank you.
Next. Who else would like to speak?
Mayor Van den Bosch, council members, my name is Ed Weixler. I live at 3123 Forest Street in Port Huron. I'm the project director of the Blue Water Area Fallen Heroes Banner Project. Those of you who have to suffer on social media, I'm sure you're obviously aware of it. I have delivered a handout relative to our project with a list of Marine City area GI casualties whose photographs we are still looking for. If you have some means of getting that out and into the public, I would appreciate it, because we have tried just about every means of doing that. I'm here for two reasons, one of which is not to complain. I figured that would get your attention. One of which is not to ask for money or for you to spend money. I'm here to educate you about this project that is coming to your community and all other communities, hamlets, villages, municipalities in St. Clair County next Memorial Day. And I'm also here to collect, but I read your agenda, I'm here to collect questions that I don't have answers for yet. This is, well, and yes, David, I will be out of here in less than 5 minutes.
We're keeping track.
Oh, that's really nice.
This is Vietnam. And this one
World War.
is in your backyard. This is Afghanistan. The project before you is 3 years in the making. The banners will be distributed to cities, townships, and villages 10 days before and harvested 10 days after Memorial Day, starting next year. We intend these banners to be displayed 1 week before Memorial Day, then come down 1 week after Memorial Day. They will not be used for any other display, public or private. This project is strategically designed to be, brace yourself, is strategically designed to be non-competitive amongst communities and non-divisive amongst the citizenry. As he pauses for emphasis, doesn't seem possible. It was surgically designed to bring us together 2 weeks out of the year, every year. The project is designed to outlive us all. The project is all about us and we, not I and me. These banners reflect the sacrifice of young people in St. Clair County who grew up immediately but never grew old. The qualifier for having a banner is not just limited to killed in action, but if the GI died while in military service to their country, he or she qualifies for a banner. What we need from this administration are the dimensions of any existing hardware. If you have banners downtown, we need the width and we need the dimension on centers for that hardware so that the banners of sacrifices from Marine City can be custom made for your existing hardware. If you do not have horizontal hardware for pole display and choose to have them hung by the grommets, because we have grommets at all corners, except Shane's, and that's because Cottrellville already has their hardware. If you do not have horizontal hardware for pole display and choose to hang them by the grommets, then we need to know that before printing, because then we won't print the back side. Many communities throughout the USA do a similar project. I believe the closest community to St. Clair County is the city of Lapeer. However, this project, our project, your project, is the only project of its kind in the entire United States that is countywide. And we did that so that there wouldn't be one-upmanship. The banner template is copywritten to our DBA. We're hoping that counties, surrounding counties such as Sanilac and Huron County would be interested in following us if they are interested in meeting the same display criteria that we are. We would consider making this template available to them. That was deliberate on our part because we could have easily done St. Clair County and one-upmanship. What we wanted to do was to create something that reflects on all of us, hence the Blue Water area. So what would that say about us, to the eastern coast of Michigan, if you were to drive from Algonac to the tip of the thumb and the template stays the same but the faces change? It's about us and we, not I and me. As of this date, we have scanned 264 photos out of the 586 St. Clair County GIs who died in service since World War I. Interestingly enough, we know who every one of them are. I have a master list back here. Our problem is, how do you find the families of people who've been dead for a century or less? And that's why we're still looking. And I heard, or I read on your public announcement, public audience thing that there's no response, so our hotline number and my email address is on the back of those rack cards. I hope to hear from administration relative to if you have hardware, or if you don't, then we need to know that.
I can comment, though. We will have Mike Ettridge get a hold of you to let you know, so we can get this done. It will be handled.
Thank you.
Yes.
Less than 5 minutes. And you didn't.
Well, you were kind of over, but I'll let it go.
I did?
Yeah. But since it's such a good cause, we'll let you go over. Thank you. I know. Whoever wants to follow that up. Next. Mr. Moran.
I just want to take a moment and publicly thank Chris Baxter and her stalwart crew of vote folks. What do you call them? I can't think of the term.
Election officials.
Election officials. Thank you very much. This was probably one of the more difficult elections for the city to handle, and super job. Thank you very much.
Next. Who'd like to speak next?
Get rid of that thing. Dave Van, 6th Street and Metropolis. At one time, and we cannot remember when, there used to be a barricade at the end, at the dead end right there. Sometime it got removed. It'd be very easy to stop things if you put the barricade back up. Plus, it'll keep the kids from running through there and tearing things up. And they do a good job of that. If you think about bringing people in there off of 7th Street and put a permanent road in there, what about everybody's homes that butt up on 5th and 6th, or 6th and 7th, excuse me? You're gonna try to double tap that? That road is gonna need to be completely redone. It's all clay. And as DPW manager said, put 6 to 8 inches of gravel on there, it's gone. It'll disappear in that clay before you can bat your eyes twice in the spring of the year. Now, there's enough people here that are pretty ticked off about all this, and there's enough of us out here that we can affect the next election on all of you. Think about that. Thank you.
Next. Lady back there, you can be next, Rosalie.
Good evening. Okay, I'm tired. It's been a long week for everybody. I know, my name is Michelle Jandren. I am also here about the 5th Street. I live at 165 North 5th. I've been in that residence for 43 years. My parents bought it. We moved here. I grew up there. When they moved to Texas, we bought it from them. The sweatshirt I wear is from when my daughter, who is 34 years old and is working at one of our local businesses in management, was a cheerleader at Marine City High School, made by a local woman in town. She made these sweatshirts for our team. Both of my children graduated from Marine City High School. I graduated. My husband, we're 35 years married. I've watched that neighborhood was my stomping ground when I was 10, 12 years old. There was no Murray Court. There was lots. We used to play baseball where 4th Street is. There's a big tree that was home plate. I've watched them build that whole area up. I've watched the changes that have come through. My children watched the changes. They ran the streets. We used to have block parties. We used to dig for night crawlers because we would catch fish right off of the Edison and all the neighbors, and I've watched people come and go. There are a lot of children there. Now I have a 10-year-old granddaughter and all of her friends. She has 2 friends in Murray Court. She's got one on Butler. She's got one on 4th Street. They're all over. And she comes over and all her friends come to my house. That house has had more people from Marine City go through it and come from Detroit and Shelby to go to Maritime Days when it was, it was a big deal. My dad slept in that Vegas tent every year just to make sure it was safe. And what we've received thus far, what I have received as a resident, as a 43-year resident of this town, is 2 pieces of paper from the road commission that I requested. They didn't give it to me, I requested it, about what's about to happen. I found out via rumor through people in my neighborhood that they were coming in and they were gonna start building some kind of condo division. And the next thing I know, I got calls from people saying, oh my God, it's happening. Out of respect for people like me, who are what Marine City is, please allow us to have more information. I don't know if this would be good for my neighborhood or bad, to be honest with you. I feel as though it's gonna be a bad thing. But can I make a real good judgment on this? I don't have any information. I've never been provided what it is he even plans on doing. All I hear is rumors of what kind of person he is as a builder and what's gonna happen to my neighborhood and what I'm gonna watch happen to my neighborhood. And out of respect for you, I'm coming to you to let you know that this is about to happen and that I should be educated about what's gonna be happening here. That's my home. I've put a lot of time and energy into building my memories. I went through boxes of pictures with my granddaughter this week while I'm trying to homeschool, which is why I'm so tired. I went through pictures, and 90% of those pictures are inside that house or inside that yard or on that block. And I can show you pictures of when it was all dirt and when they built the little garage and they ran out of money and couldn't build the house. And it's a garage on the corner that has been made into a little rental. There's no visual as you turn that, it's all bush. So when you're coming off 5th Street and it ends at Metropolis, it's hard to even take a right-hand turn. And with Murray Court, there's police officers here who I know will attest to the fact that there's nights, like everyone rolls the stop sign at Murray Court. We're watching for our children and we're constantly yelling at traffic to slow down. But even that stop sign doesn't stop them from flying down that road, which can't take it. We have no parking most of the time. Our roads are all bumped. I know how to route my way around to try and save my tires. But please look at what you're doing and please put together some information for those of us out here who are trying to figure out what's even going on. Thank you.
Rosalie?
Rosalie Squires, 211 Michigan. I have a major complaint, major. Okay, this little thing right here gives me accessibility to have handicap parking. I've had this as a permanent thing since 1992. I thought it was temporary when I first got it. When I went in to get it, an application to get it redone, she says, oh, you've got a permanent one. That's what your doctor wrote for you. I was only in my early 40s, and I sat in the car up where Eddie's, Fast Eddie's Antique Store is now, and cried to think that there was no cure for my illness, which although I've had a treatment program that works a lot better recently, I still have the illness. It's never going to go away totally. Now, I have called the election commission complaining that there wasn't a handicap accessible parking when I voted. I went clearly through all the procedures. I was promised that on election day it would be marked. You have 2 handicap parking spots on the outside. They're not according to ADA code. One time when I was using my walker, I took my walker out of the trunk, went to come into one of these meetings, and almost got hit by a car. I made a complaint to the Michigan Civil Rights Division. You told them that there would be a sign put up there. Okay, it was there for voting day for a long time. It was there for a long time again. Now, I don't know why, but it got moved to the grass. And it's permanently put in the grass. Now, I don't know. I don't see it marked there for handicap parking. It's clearly not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have a visible sign because it snows in Michigan. If you can't see those blue lines, then you don't know where you're supposed to park. I don't know. I bought a brand new condo here, and my basement was collapsing. I can't even get a handicap parking space, even though I go through all the right channels to do all the right complaining, and you tell people at the Michigan level and civil rights level that you're going to do it, then you still go ahead and change it and don't comply again. Folks, I'm telling you something. There's not a lot of hope for you that are complaining about this condo if they can't even get a simple handicap parking space right with just a sign and blue lines.
It was moved for a training for the fire department, and the fire
Well,
department
yeah, but
forgot to put it back.
it's supposed to be by law. They're
forgot
for
to put it
voting, and
back.
it
I
wasn't there
apologize
yesterday.
for you.
Yeah, you know what? Why can't we get this right ever? It's not there today.
But the parking lot is marked, and it didn't snow, so.
But you're supposed to have a sign. I mean, you are supposed to have a sign. It's law that you have a sign. It doesn't say in the law, well, if you're trained and you take the sign down. It's the ADA law.
It will be back there tonight, and I will tell the gentleman not to move it, no matter what training we're doing. It will not be moved again. Next, Jim.
Good evening. Just want to give you a quick update. As of beginning of January, I started the Staff and Command School. March hit and COVID came. Our class got put on hiatus up until beginning of September. And as of last Thursday, graduated with a 96%. So it was a long 10-week, 10-month program. Developed a lot of good relationships, a lot of good contacts, a lot of excellent training. Covered topics, resource allocation, budgeting, the problem employee, federal employee laws, on and on. And it was a wonderful experience, and I just wanted to publicly thank you for allowing me to go to that. So, thank you.
Congratulations on And to let everybody know, it's not an easy course. It's not just show up
It's a
and,
very high score.
yeah, very, very high
I
score.
wrote like 20 papers, the largest one being a 20-page staff study about maybe an internal problem, and multitude of 5 to 6 page papers. It was very time-consuming and exhausting, but it's over with.
Very good. Next.
Gee, thanks. Name is Pat McFarland. Good evening, folks. I live at 316 South Bell River Drive. And right across from that building, 5 years ago, I came here and talked to the city council. Lisa, you remember this because I think you're the only one that was on the board then, from then.
Yeah.
The police chief was the city manager and the mayor, acting mayor, I think. And anyhow, I got approval from the city council to build a handicap accessible, wheelchair accessible fishing dock there. I'm sure Y'all seen it if you ever drove down the road. 2 years ago, my fantastic landlord goes and paints it the same color as the apartment buildings. And he knows it's on city property because I told him. He didn't know if he owned the property or not. That's how smart this kid is. So last year, you guys sent him a letter, told him, shame on you, don't do that. Please put it back to the way it was. Okay. A year went by, I figured, well, what the hell? Nothing's going on. So I called the city manager. I said, look, we need another letter, only we gotta have some time of a time limit. And there should be some kind of a penalty. Well, he gets a letter with a 60-day limit. And I was gonna get the labor set up. I was gonna pay for the labor because this one kid was out of a job and needs some cash. I told him, you buy the wood. Back then, it was less than $200 to do it identically the same way, not counting the floor. All right? He said, fine, if it's under $200. Well, the kid went and got himself a real job. So I called him back. I said, man, you're shit out of luck. The guy's got himself a real job. So now you're stuck with material and labor. Okay. Well, the 6 days come and gone, nothing happened. I talked to the attorney and the city manager three months ago, something like that. Anyhow, it's been a while ago. And they both said, you know, he was in the wrong. He should never have done it. He should never even touched it. Because when I first came to the council meeting, I said, I will take care of all the upkeep for as long as I live there or until I die, one or the other. So everybody said, fine. So I put some flower boxes on it. It didn't have a bench in the corner. I put one of those on. It put a citronella candle. I got that hanging out there in a little red bucket. I put a trash can out there. That was one of the first things I did. So he comes along and paints it. That was not in my plan. My plan was, okay, it aged for 5 years now. Okay, great. I was gonna get it shellacked, you know, varnished, sealed up that year, last year. Or was it 2 years ago? Whenever he painted it, that's the year I was gonna get it varnished up. I had Matt Horn almost all lined up. I was just gonna give him cash, tell him go to Lumberjack, get what you need and come back and do the job. I come out from doing my laundry and here our handyman has got this thing 3/4 of the way painted. Well, you can imagine I raised all kinds of hell. I'm sure they heard me across the river. If the cops had their doors open, they probably would have heard me there too. And so he stopped. I said, well, shit, you might as well finish the darn thing up. Looks like hell now, you know, 3/4 of the way done. And so last meeting, I watched it on YouTube. The subject came up and the decision was that we're gonna let it go and see how it weathers this year. Well, the only thing that's is going wrong with the paint job is where I wheel on it, because I'm on that thing almost 6 days a week, sometimes 7. And the railings are not gonna get peeled because no one touches them. So they're gonna look perfect 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But the idea was that he wasn't supposed to even touch it, let alone paint the damn thing. And I would like for the city to get some balls and tell this guy, put it back the way it was. Now, I know you're not gonna comment, which I guess maybe that's good, because that'd probably get me more hotter. But if you guys don't do something, I'll do something. I'll go over your friggin' heads. I'll call the state to see what, what's going on there. Because we had a verbal agreement. I would do the upkeep. If a 2x6 went out, I would replace it. Man, should be all women. Okay.
Next, who would like to speak next? Sure. Got something new?
I actually do have
Okay.
a couple of points, and I found the note on the back of one of the sheets that I got from the road commission. There are a couple of points. Again, my name is Michelle Jandren. I did a little survey of my own while sitting on my front porch of watching the houses and the school buses go by. We do have several school buses that do go through there. And when I was talking about those bushes and those trees that have been there forever, as they come through the buses or any of the city trucks and that, they're coming through and they're knocking branches and leaves down. And also with our wires coming down from our houses in that area, a lot of the pipes and the wires and stuff are the original and have not been replaced. In my house, in front of our house alone, they have probably dug up 6 or 7 times in the last 10 years where the water broke or the gas line. One day we came home and the entire front lawn of our house, you could smell it and you could see it. It was bubbling, and it hadn't rained, but it was bubbling all across. And it was gas line that had broken all the way from one end of our yard all the way to the other. Those pipes, I was told at that time, a lot of that at our house is where it's cut off and put in new to go out to Murray Court. And they didn't do anything to replace that. They fixed it and they covered it. So I'm thinking that any large traffic coming through on there is gonna just continually damage those pipes worse and worse. And they have not been upgraded in many, many years. The fire trucks that come through there, the police officers that come through there. And also there's a road commission report saying that there's like 7 or 9 streets. And even as I drove here, I went through the back area and stuff. Metropolis literally starts at where 7th Street should be, and it ends at Parker where the Dairy Queen comes up. So, I mean, it's like this big. So those trucks and cars are gonna have to come down, and a lot of them roads are literally, those little roads are kind of like curved. And there's dead ends at every one of them. I don't even know if they would be able to get from the exit, from 7th Street through them little roads and onto a main road without taking out somebody's yard or half of a business over where that Marine City Grill is. Those are all real short streets. So if anyone ever gets a chance to actually take a drive through that area, to take a big truck through there, I just don't see it happening, let alone the damage that it's gonna do to the roads and what's underneath those roads. Or then also, like I said, the tops, the trees, the wires and stuff that are hanging. I don't know what the state laws are on all that. I'm hearing people talk about, I have tried to find an email address where I could get some information on state laws on road commission and stuff. It's kind of hard right now with the way things are going. But that's what I was genuinely asking for earlier, is some more time, more information, so that we can be more educated and see where we can come into, if we want to fight back, we have an actual fighting chance to fight back against something like this. Thank you.
Next, who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Shelley Cargula, 117 North 6th Street. Our roads, 6th, 5th, 4th, cannot handle the traffic of the study of the, what the new condo would bring in. And to begin with, our roads can't handle the construction. North Sixth is not in good repair as it is. It can't handle construction trucks. It's a small community, there are kids. I just think that this is not a good idea unless you put in a second entrance permanent. So there's not just one, there's two. That would cut down on the traffics on North Sixth and North Fifth. And if you're living right behind North Sixth, you're not gonna go all the way down to Butler or to the, to get onto Parker. You're gonna use Sixth and Fifth. So, I really think if you guys are bound and determined to put in this condo unit, you have to have two entrance and exits, because we cannot handle, Sixth and Fifth cannot handle all that new traffic. And I think your study bears that too. Thank you.
Next, who would like to speak? All, going once, going twice, all right. Moving on to approval of the city meeting, city commission special meeting, October 8th, 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Any questions or concerns on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we need a motion for the city commission meeting, October 15th, 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Any corrections or deletions on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, letters A through G.
Support.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Merchant?
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to financial business, including payroll for $444,907.93. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve expenditures, including payroll for $444,000, $907.93.
Support.
Any questions on it? Hearing none, roll call vote on that too, please.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Merchant?
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to the Raymond James agreement.
This is actually just a update of names for our agreement. There's no changes. All the people that were on the previous agreement no longer work for the city, so we just wanted to, as a matter of housekeeping, get an updated agreement with the current people's names on it.
Can I get a motion to approve the Raymond James agreement? Updated agreement.
I'll make a motion, we approve the updated Raymond James agreement.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to preliminary financial statements. I need a motion to approve and file.
So moved.
Support.
Any questions on them? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to public hearing for 209 West Boulevard. The City Commission will now conduct a public hearing to receive public comments on 209 West Boulevard. The public hearing has been declared open at 7:38. Anyone like to speak on the 209 West Boulevard? Yes.
Hello. We are the homeowners of 209 West Boulevard. All of the permits were pulled for the build. For the first hearing on October 15th, I tried to get in on the Zoom meeting for the original hearing, and it didn't let me through. So I don't know if it's just the communication from where we were at and where we were going, but we had the structural engineer out the 14th. The 14th of October to get his approval for the foundation. And I just talked to the builder before I came in to figure out where everything was at. And there was miscommunication in between the engineer and the city. So he said I'll have the paperwork turned in the morning, and hopefully we can move forward from there. I've been communicating in between Tracy Kellick and a couple times Lisa Hendricks to try to make sure everything works out. With the corona and everything else going on, it's been real tricky trying to get everything moving. The letter stated to get the building more secure, so I don't know if there's something that could be notified to where what the issue is until we can get the builders in there to work. I don't know.
Tracy is here if you have any questions or need clarification, either during the public hearing portion or during
After
the agenda item,
when
when you're making your
We have to
decision.
wait till it pops back up.
Yeah,
This is
we
just your
can't
time.
talk about
Oh.
this period. This is just for the public to comment on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I don't-
fine.
I don't know how it
No,
works.
no, that's fine. We just wanted to let you know, we're gonna ask him questions on that.
Okay.
And we may even have you come right back up.
Sure.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else like to speak at the public hearing? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed at 7:41. All right, moving on to Hidden Harbor Site Condo.
So you have a lot of information before you in the packets, including some of the previous meeting minutes and the review letters from our planner, Adam Young. He is here to answer any questions. This was referred back to the Planning Commission to specifically study the impact of the local roads from construction equipment and the impact of the project on local traffic as a whole. Working with Adam and the Planning Commission, there's a updated memo that was provided as part of your packets regarding information for that. As far as the construction route, I spoke with Mike, the DPW superintendent, and to cover any costs of road or water damage that we would potentially have in regards to this project, we're requesting a bond in the amount of $90,000. I understand that the developer is here, and he wanted to address the board regarding options for the traffic.
Are we just discussing the traffic or because, I mean, the last time this was here, it was the whole project.
Well, the traffic was just a component of what it is that
Yeah.
you were looking for towards making a decision. So tonight, you'd be making a decision on whether you're approving the site condo or not, and
Yeah.
if there's any conditions that would go with that.
The entire project is before you for approval, which we adjourned to get more information on the traffic. From a legal standpoint, you have the authority to impose maintenance bonds. Whether they're triggered or not is a different issue, but in order to secure maintenance of the road that would be used for construction and potential water impacts, we worked with DPW to get those figures, and $85,000 was determined to be a sufficient amount of money for a bond to protect against potential damage to the road, and the $5,000 was for the water issues, totaling $90,000. Provided, and I think Adam can can also echo in on this, but you do have the authority to impose those type of maintenance requirements as a part of your approval process.
One of my questions, I know everybody out here, I mean, I've seen the plans, but can somebody explain to them the type of condominiums that we're putting in here?
The developer's here, if he's.
Jay, would
to
you step
share some
up
of the
for us?
information?
Jay Folsky,
Describe
600 King Road.
describe the condo units.
They're a two-bedroom ranch style with a full basement, two-car attached garage with brick front veneer and vinyl and aluminum soffits on the rest.
And they are to be privately owned
Yes.
with a condo association?
Condo Association, which the documents have been turned in to the city for their review, and I believe it's all approved.
Just one of the things for in the future, if people find out and they have concerns, always go to our building department, and you can ask to see these files, and you can ask to see the plans, and you can review them at any point in time. I know a lot of people weren't notified, like, officially from the city. You got word from some of us who let you know. But you can always go in and look at plans or any issues, always contact the city if you ever have doubts about a project or you hear rumors. Verify it with the city will work with you, they'll let you look at any of the plans that are turned in by any developer. The thing is too, is the developer, if he turns in all the plans and everything is within what he provides us, a city cannot deny him to build that project, correct?
Be correct, and we reviewed the master deed, the condo documents, the maintenance agreements, all of that was provided. I know, Adam, you can chime in where necessary, but all of that was provided for review and consideration and approval. I signed off on the master deed, the conversion over to the homeowners association format that you provided, the maintenance agreements, all the different things with respect to the development were provided.
So, I mean, these are some of the things that I'm trying to get so that everybody understands how we're doing this. Because it's not always easy we all hear it. Okay, so now I'm back to the plan. So even if we put this in, my stuff is the infrastructure issues with some of those streets, and I also want to know about the King Road side. I see that Mike put in here some recommendations on how to come in here, because, I mean, yeah, 6th Street, those streets are rough. The infrastructure is rough. We start running all the construction equipment on it, it's going to be bad. So he gave us a couple recommendations, and one was 7th Street, which I don't agree with that either, because I know that puts it in people's backyards, and I don't think they want to have to deal with that all summer long. Then we have the King Road entryway, which to me is a better process to try to keep all the construction.
Lisa, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
What's the chance of getting a deal done on just opening up the Metropolis, getting at least a gravel road? What do we need to do to get this so it's a win-win for both the residents and the development?
I don't know, I didn't have enough in my printer broke, but if you want to look at these, I didn't give you earlier, I can read off to you what I proposed. Basically, this is for the road use of Marine City. As number 1, for the construction road in and out of truck semis and work for daily basis. The developer will build to their specs and the needed temporary road going west from the condo site to King Road, down the easement that Marine City has. Only hidden harbor condo vehicles will be allowed on there for the temporary use. Upon completion of the site condo, the project, the developer will remove stones and regrade soil.
So you would do a restoration after the project was completed?
Yeah, my only couple concerns is that we put a road in and kids start racing up and down it. So, somebody's out there, whatever might happen, and it's not built to, I don't know what specifications, whatever. I don't want somebody getting injured or whatever. And I mean, already back there, the farmer that used to work it always told me 5 to 10% damage from four-wheelers, snowmobilers, everything behind there. So I know there's gonna be a lot of four-wheelers and people going up and down there, because there is now. But just from my own point, the cost would save me the headaches, because no matter what, in the spring, in the fall, cement trucks coming in and out, mud everywhere. I don't have time to be going, sending sweepers down a mile and back every day for my own, sanity from the residents there. I would prefer just to go right out to King and egress that way. When it's completed, we remove the stones, regrade it. I mean, right now, I believe it's just all cattails. The guy that originally built the collision shop had a little road built in there, which isn't, I don't believe is in the easement. I don't know now that they moved it. But it comes out by Unity Bus, so we would brush hog that down, strip off the topsoil, put down a mat, put down the stone. I do this all day long, I know what it needs. Later on in the year, it gets mushy, we throw a little more stone in there. And I believe that'll hopefully make the residents at ease, and
At least for the construction end of it.
yeah, once that's done, and I mean, then, traffic study that was done, my understanding it's 1,500 cars per, each one of these streets. Now, obviously, Sixth and Metropolis is gonna be 90% of the traffic. But that still leaves 3,000 cars capability, and there's only 1,000 some to use it. So we're only at 1/3, just those two streets. And if obviously someone's coming down there and misses their turn, or they're coming off a different way and they're going to the diner, that's gonna be some of the redirected traffic. And if you got Amazon or UPS coming down that way, they turn on one of these other streets.
Is there a way of making that a permanent road?
Yeah. If he puts in all the work, why take it all out?
Yeah, absolutely, I don't. And if we, did something to relieve you on the liability end of it, after, instead of taking it out and restorating, it's gotta be worth something, not having to pull it all out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know what this, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know
Right.
what the city specifications are as far as drainage, as far as ditching,
Right.
as far as
Who owns that property?
It's a
city right
easement
away.
already.
Yeah,
Water easement.
Isn't it a water easement?
but you have a whole road easement in there. I mean, I checked with our prior attorney,
It was looked into before.
and a study was done for a road years ago, when Mike Nagy was our city manager.
Yeah, I attempted to actually put King Road in at that time.
Yeah.
And I had the guy that owned the collision shop, we had the votes to get it.
Yeah.
I was informed by one of the city attorneys in town that owned some of the lots there that he was not in favor of it.
This was for the special assessment district?
Yeah,
I saw the history of that.
Yeah, George sent all that to us, yes.
And
So
they
we-
dragged it out, and then the Great Recession hit, and I'm very thankful that I didn't build it. But another concern that the people have, if you want to review the condo documentations, there is a provision in there for rental of these units, which is limited to 2 years out of every 5. This is only basically if the members are incapacitated, some reason, they can rent it. But it is limited, very limited to how much can be rented.
It's not for you to rent.
No.
It's gotta be the primary buyer.
The owner.
Right.
The
I mean,
owner
I-
can only do it for X amount of period of time.
Yeah, and if they, but it's only, hey, you can't just buy it and rent it out. You could buy it and live there, you could rent it for a small amount of time, but then you'd have to vacate it under the ordinances. Now, obviously, once it's turned over, they can vote something different. But my intention is to sell, basically, single-family attached condos.
Well, if those roads are in that bad a shape, Fifth, Third, Metropolis down there, you got gas leaks, you got all kinds of leaks, they can't drive on it. I would like that King Road exit to be put in because of safety for people. Because we go in there and tear up that road, there's no place to get out from your condos down Metropolis.
Yeah, the city's welcome to run anytime they want. I'd love it.
And if you put that in and leave it temporary or run it through, it's, I know what the planning commission said and what it says, but I'm looking at life safety. I'm looking at a fire or something else going on there that it isn't worth it to give the city the liability of, because that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get sued.
Okay.
So,
Adam, do you have any thoughts on this?
I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
I think one of the things, so when you did, I went to the planning meeting and I listened to the study for the traffic, but that only included a single individual in a home. It didn't include all the additional traffic, correct? Such as Amazon and Meals on Wheels, and I think that was a question that came up at that meeting also.
The data was from the ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers. Their data is based on surveys, not, of course, of this site, but elsewhere. And so they record for developments of certain types of land uses, and in this case, what they categorized this condo development to be as far as a land use type. And they would do these studies, and they would come up with an average of what they see. And so primarily the traffic is, of course, the residents themselves coming in and out. That question came up. I did ask a traffic engineer in our office, and they said that those studies can include additional traffic. It could be a UPS truck or whatever it might be. So that would be included in the ITE's average.
Okay.
Adam, do you know who owns the property where we're discussing this road?
I do recall looking into it, and I think I do see that the extension of Metropolis to King, most of that appeared to be a right-of-way or, a vacated, or maybe it still isn't active. Obviously, there is no road there now. I think at least in looking at county GIS records, I think maybe at one location or a couple of locations, half of the right-of-way maybe had been taken by an adjacent property, either to the north or south of it. I can't say for sure whether it is feasible to make it happen.
Okay.
But I do believe that it is, there is a right-of-way there to at least,
Yeah.
Well, any permanent road that would go in there would have to meet standards, right? I mean, and we'd have to have the right amount of right-of-way
right?
for a road, right?
Yeah, so you would need to follow your city standards. I presume it's a 60-foot right-of-way.
Right.
Or 66. And certainly the road would need to be constructed to your city, design standards.
So we're talking about property. As I sit here, I don't know. I mean, you say we own it, but I haven't seen any documents that say we own it.
My suggestion is that you get a hold of George Ockham, our prior attorney, who has all the documentation. He said, we still own it. We still own all the other streets. None of it was vacated. He's got the records. I mean, he's got everything documented. I talked to him because that's the same question I had. We also, former Mayor Bukowski, he got a hold of the old city manager, double-checked with him. He said nobody sold off or vacated anything, and that was done at his time when Michael Nagy was here. None of that was done. So the road should still be there, because he was gonna do the road back in the day. And then Tetra Tech did a whole study on a road for feasibility, which is what George sent us.
Are these documents in the possession of the city?
Well, they should be, but now, a lot of things got lost at one time, but George does have them all scanned. Everything he's got scanned. He said if we needed anything, to just contact him and he'll help us out.
He's a nice man, I can talk to.
He is, yeah. Very helpful, and he kept all the old records. thank God.
Because I think that'd be a much better way of
Yes.
doing this instead of, try and get a compromise between the two parties. Instead of having everybody at odds.
And we've already paid for a study back then to put the road in.
How long, what's the length of the, what would be the length of the road? Do you know?
I believe talking about 600 feet.
600 to 800 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they just cut all that brush down in there for you, so. Guy
I'm not
did
sure,
good.
there's a lot of cattails when I go by, so I'm not really sure.
No, he cut it all down, I think last week.
Mowed it last week.
They mowed everything.
That temporary road, if you put the temporary road in, there would be enough with your trucks passing each other?
Yes.
If you were to create a special assessment district for the road, are there enough participants to absorb the cost over a 10 or a 20-year special assessment district?
I'm not really sure on that, because each, you have to get 51%. And when we went through all this, and then my ex-partner was an attorney, and he put this all together, and after I looked at the cost of the bonding and everything, it just seemed quite unfeasible to even go that way. Because, like I said, we had the votes to do it, and even North Star Bank owned at that time part of it, and they said, hey, if it's up, we'll do it, if it's down, we'll go against it, but we had over 51%, because they've got, 7th, 8th, 9th on their side, and we had all of our side, so we had over 51%. And the city kept dragging their feet, and then finally we just didn't do it.
Well, I had a conversation with North Bay, it's another bank now, and there's questions, did they apply for it to be vacated, and it never got vacated?
It didn't.
And those documents were there, but North Star has that, as you're saying, the center line of that head, and if they own it, they want to get rid, they don't want it. I talked to them.
Okay. Anything else for me?
Question, okay. You're saying that you're gonna be selling the homes as single-family homes, but then the people who buy them can rent them for a certain amount of times. Now, is there stipulation as to someone coming in, even say someone who built them and then came in from another angle, buys more than one, like a lot of them, and then uses them as rentals in a situation like a slumlord situation?
Can't do that with,
That's not what the documents say.
Buy one unit and not buy a bunch.
It's not what the
and then rent
documents say.
them all out. Is that part of a ruling in a condominium? I've never done a condominium. I don't know.
because it would be the condo association would, and the votes in the association, the residents actually run their own association, and
They're not gonna let something
No.
like that happen.
No.
Because it would take away.
devalue their own properties.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then, just real quick, state law isn't going to require him then, once he does start building in that, to have that access road off of Metropolis where it becomes a necessary because of fire hazard, like you were saying. Where he's at a certain point, and then the state of
No.
Michigan is like, well, wait a minute, you've gotta have a separate road coming off because you've gotta have somewhere coming in and out in two different directions.
The state won't get involved. They don't get involved in that. That's a local issue.
Metropolis, I think they probably would.
No.
What do you think about making the road a permanent road?
As far as gravel, or, the city ordinance, is it all hard surface?
It just says a hard surface, I don't know what that equates to. That could mean packed gravel, it could mean,
And was they gonna assess all the people along there that access it?
It would be whatever the SAD, whatever district set up. And then I know also part of the cost for the SAD that you were looking at back in 2005, 2006 involved the extension of the water and sewer as well.
Right.
If I recall right, I think it was maybe about 300,000 for the water sewer, 200,000 for the road back then.
I'm not really sure what the numbers are now.
2005, 2006,
yeah.
yeah. And I think the development was called Autumn, what was it? Autumn Meadows back there, back then?
Good about it?
Yeah.
That would be a very hefty special assessment against
Each,
each
A
property.
small amount of property owners.
Right.
yeah.
You could be adding 10,000 a year or more to
Each
Yeah.
property.
each property.
Is that the only way to do it, though?
Well,
What's
one,
another, what's
one
another?
potential option is if, say, we do the water and sewer and he does the road.
Isn't the water already going through there? There's already a water
I
line,
think water might be,
yeah.
Yeah,
The
water.
water
I
goes to
believe.
like 8th Street, or then it cuts down all the way, it goes all the way down, it comes west and then turns south and returns to West Boulevard.
I thought Mike told me it went all the way to King.
Yeah, I thought it serviced,
There's
Just the
I know
water.
he said there's an easement.
yeah,
Yes.
because I believe it services the back behind Industrial Way, because we've got hydrants back in there, and that was fed by a large main that went through there, through Metropolis.
So
Because we have a large main that runs all down Metropolis.
So there's grumbling back here of, we're gonna look at raising our taxes for water lines and such.
No, no,
No,
not you.
no.
As a city.
No.
No.
Just from his property to King Road, they're looking.
No, I was talking about a special assessment
Just for,
Them to pay.
I guarantee
Right.
you, you're not in the district.
Yes. Yeah. No, don't worry about
No.
that one.
So like, I want new water lines.
Well, those might come some other day, but, no, we're just dealing with trying to figure out from his condos to King Road, what can be done.
Okay, that's great, and then real quick too, I heard rumor that you were going to be building J-25, and then right after the 25 were built, you were gonna try and put in another 25, is that what I'm hearing right?
I believe you're hearing wrong.
Okay, it's 25 and done?
26, correct?
26, yes.
Mm-hmm.
that's the extent of property you own in there, right? That you don't own the adjacent property in there?
No.
Now, I have a question, usually the water line, the gas lines and all that goes to the far side of your property? Where you've got the fire turnaround, I believe, on that property, doesn't go to the end of your property? You would complete it to the end of your property?
Whatever's in the plans, I don't have them here. and I'm
Well, it's not in the
gonna
plan, but I'm saying
comment.
that.
I'm not gonna comment on it without having the plans and not.
Well, whenever you do some construction, in the townships and the cities, you have to go to the far end of your property. If you're putting gas and water and stuff in, the water's already in it past your property. I'm talking about the street and the dead end and the turnaround hammer for the fire department. It's not at the end of this, it doesn't go to all the way to the end of your property. You got a driveway going into and then you got the turnaround here, and then the property line is over here. Are you gonna complete that road all the way to the end of your
Whatever's in the
property?
plans is what I plan to complete.
So, can we work with him on trying to come up with a solution, or does everything have to be done tonight? We can table this so we can work to see what can be done,
Yeah,
so that it can be presented properly, so that they all know.
and we can certainly get more information. I don't know if you want to get updated numbers for that SAD. Obviously, we have all the line items, and that's something that we just need to get new numbers. Also, we have the unknown about ownership and if a road is even feasible. That might be a place to start. However, it's going to cost some money to have someone do the research for that.
Well, but they already did one study on it. I know it, you
pretty
have to
old.
update it, yeah, it's pretty
pretty
old, but I mean, we have some idea, but yes, those figures are gonna definitely change. But I would rather see us table this so that we can work something out to figure out how we're gonna deal with this to go from his property, King Road, and what options that we have. And make sure that we talk to our prior attorney to find out what he's got, to make sure we have all that settled. So I would make a motion that we table this until we can obtain all that information.
Support.
I think we need to get some information. It'd be nice to have Mike at the next meeting to
Yes.
discuss, you know,
Water
what
line,
water
what's in
lines are
there.
in there, what would need to be done for a,
Sewer?
or even temporary road, what
Yeah.
he's, you know, to make that temporary road permanent instead of.
Yeah.
I can't see that putting it in and then taking it out.
No,
And
Do it right
just
to start with.
to get it done.
yes. Is that agreeable?
You good with that?
Yes. Reach out to me when you're ready.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion to table. Motion support. Any questions on that table? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the dangerous building, 206 West Boulevard,
209.
209 West Boulevard.
Okay.
You want to start us out?
Sure.
Tracy Kalick, I'm the building official for the City of Marine City. This house that we're discussing tonight burned early January of 2020. And it was months until we figured out who actually owned the home. I think Renee Burton actually owned the land contract on it. And probably midsummer, Mr. Jasper came to me with a plan to redeem the property. And at that point, I asked him, he hadn't tarped it at all. So it's been exposed to the weather to this day, I think, I believe it is,
Yeah.
for 10 and a half months. And if anybody was inclined to actually remediate this property, they probably should have tarped off the roof. And at that point, I asked them, this would have been early September, to come back to us with a structural engineer. I mean, it's not for me to say whether he should tear his house down or not. That's up to you folks. But we have to make sure that the structure, the foundation is substantial to hold up a home, because it's been exposed to the weather for almost a year now. And tonight, he informed me that he does have a report, but it has yet to be submitted to my department. I also asked for a mold remediation report, but in lieu of having Mr. Jasper spend needless money, because if the place had to come down per an engineer's report, why waste money on a mold remediation report? So I elected to let that one go, and let's see where we're at with the structure itself. So, and here we are.
So you have not seen the structural report?
I have not.
Did he ever board the house up and make it safe for people not to entry?
The grade elevated windows, everything on the first floor has been boarded up. But if one was inclined, they could get in, access through the back. The roof structure, that's why it burned and burned so long, is the additions over the years, they added a roof over a roof over a roof, and the fire department could not get to the fire.
I know. And it had heavy, heavy fire load in that roof, heavy. And it burnt a long time.
Another issue is, I don't know this for fact, but I think Mr. Jasper may have been underinsured on the property. The insurance company, they always submit a real thick packet, as Bill can testify to, and they line item everything, right down to the last nail and screw. And I found it very odd that they only allotted $700 for electrical. So the entire roof is burned out. So every one of the lighting circuits has to be chased down to all the plugs and switches. This is very hot right here, isn't it? And $700 would not get that done.
No.
Mr. Jasper said he was going to take care of everything other than what the insurance company was going to cover. Then I informed them that the mechanicals probably would have to be replaced, because they've been sitting in the basement in water for nearly a year. That's furnace, hot water tank. And the plumbing is probably not any good either, or in the basement, as far as sumps, things like that. It's been underwater, not operational.
Okay.
Okay?
Mr. Jasper, can you step up? What is your plan for the home?
To rebuild. Well, to restore it.
Restore it
Back
to,
code on every aspect.
okay, because that second story was not up to code.
It actually wasn't a second story, it was an attic.
I know, and,
But, yeah.
So we're gonna put a single gable roof in
Okay.
from there, when we take it off, and put just a single gable up.
Okay.
Across the whole house. To help save a little bit of the cost that,
So you're not planning on taking it down to the foundation? You're planning on leaving some of it, or what are you gonna do?
yes.
Okay.
I hired a company, Interstate Restoration, which hold the permits from the city and have been communicative to Tracy. They're a water restoration company, so for the mold, that inspection that they were gonna pull, this is what they do.
Okay.
now, do you have a time, because I mean, this has sat for quite a while.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there a timetable to this?
It's been really hard with everything because like he did state, the house itself was a land contract. The property, all the taxes were in our name, but then when COVID happened, it took us forever to be able to get everything with the insurance, to pay off the land contract holder and to get our portion. We weren't even able to get the deed in our name until July. And at that point is when we finally were able to start putting more things in order. That put us back a lot, not being able to step forward when nothing was in our name yet.
Tracy, has the company contacted you?
The insurance company, yes, I've talked to, I think it's John's his first name,
Okay.
several times.
All right, so that is moving on. So I guess my question with this is, we're needing to get this going, we understand the issues too, but we've got to get something going to make sure it gets done, because you got a whole neighborhood there that it's bad. So, let me ask this, if we approve this, he still has the opportunity to get his ducks in a row, to do what he has to do to fix the house, even though we may approve this. And if he does all that, then this is like, no, right? How does it work?
It would be nice to hear some timeframes.
Yeah.
I think as the mayor just inquired, what are the milestones and what are the timeframes that we can have a commitment to?
Did Tracy get the structural on the basement walls? Because that went through a winter and the concrete is porous. And so it's like a sponge, it sucks up the water. And then in the winter time, it freezes. You had no heat in that building and nothing. That needs to be structurally sound. So you need an engineer to find out whether or not you can build on that structure.
So, I go in, maybe once a week just to double check on everything. The drains and everything still work from the inside. It hasn't filled with water by any means. The structural engineer was out this last month, the 14th of October, and somewhere the lack of communication happened in getting Tracy the proper letter. Every door is screwed in. In order to get in, you'd have to break in just like anything else. It'd be a delinquent thing. I mean, there's no way to actually get in to harm anybody. I've had Semco come out and cut off the gas line, and they tapped it off. DT's been out to disconnect their lines as well. So everything on my end has been pushed to what I can do. It's just in between the communication. If the structural engineer approved it, everything's good. I know it's just word of mouth. We need a letter and approval for it, which he said will be in the morning. If not, everything's already cut off for a demo if, we couldn't get anything passed through the city.
I've seen basements have little water in them and freeze in the wintertime and actually push the walls off the foundation. Ice is a mean animal.
I mean, I've personally been in it, and I'm a mason by trade with Local 2. I know a lot about the concrete as well, so I've been trying to double check and kind of see where we're at. Everything was pretty much on hold up until when we got the deed in June or July.
So the city is gonna have a structural report tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Our office is tomorrow, Monday.
On Monday.
Probably not tomorrow.
On Monday.
Oh,
Monday.
On Monday.
Fridays is not
Unless you want to
open.
bring it to my office, I'll be open.
I mean,
No.
if we want to open up the emails, I'll forward the email to the superintendent that took the job. So
Okay.
he can send it out to you guys.
Well, Tracy, when are you in the office to receive his? And be able to
If you
look
send
at?
it to my email, I can get that at home at any time.
Okay.
Tuesday afternoon and Thursday morning.
So you can distribute this report maybe tomorrow by email.
Yes.
So we could table this subject to getting that engineering report and have it back at the next meeting.
That's what I would recommend.
You can get a
Thank-
mo-
I would also request, if we do that, that next meeting, you need to come to us with some hard dates for when you're gonna start repairs.
Milestones.
At least get the
Yep.
building closed back up.
Okay.
And,
Over the roof.
yeah.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, I mean, they're waiting on the permit approval, so.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
Like I said, it's got to be their fault from not getting it in, because we would have had the approval done, and they would have already been working.
Okay. Tracy.
What permit approvals are they waiting for?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say roof,
I'd
but,
like to see that tarp
Yeah.
ASAP. If it's in its intentions to save the building, let's try to keep the water out as much as possible.
and then
We're gonna
you're
have a snow
getting
load
into
for
snow
December.
season, you don't want snow in there either, again, this year.
You got a good week of dry weather, so cross your
Okay.
fingers if you can get something tarped on there. And then, yeah, I guess, I'll make a motion that we, table this till next meeting. Or did somebody already
You
make
already
one?
did it,
No.
didn't you?
Did we?
Did,
Did you
no,
make
I'll
one?
support.
yeah.
Okay.
But you also wanna.
With milestones and some, an engineering report.
Well, we're gonna need a review of the report we're to receive tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to, where are we at? Resolution number 004 or 2020, the bill, utility bill deferment. We need to have a motion to have late fees resume in December,
Or,
or move to have it extend the existing resolution.
through to February or some
Or-
other date.
You got three ors.
I only got two. Oh,
Three in here.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is obviously a continuation of the resolution that we've passed previously regarding the late fees for utility bills due to COVID. So looking to either stop doing this resolution and start collecting late fees, or extend it another billing cycle, which would be until February, or for any other period thereafter, preferably in the billing cycle periods.
Do you have a lot of them?
Not very many, no.
I'd like to extend this out to February until,
Agree.
till maybe we're at an end of this
Yeah.
fiasco. Anyway, anyone else have, can get a motion to, well, I'll make a motion to extend this till February,
Or through February.
through February. How's that? Is that the terminology we want?
That's what's on here.
Through February.
Support.
Motion support. Any questions on that? Hearing none. Is that a roll call one? No.
Yes.
Yes, it's a roll call. Roll call, please. Doesn't say roll call here.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Merchant.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Let's move on to 300 Broadway update. Mrs. White.
Good evening. My name is Judy White. I am president of Friends of City Hall. I was asked to come here tonight to make a report on our progress on the restoration of City Hall. I dropped off 2 more documents before the start of the meeting, one of which is a white paper that I was asked to write by the city manager in 2011. And my board suggested that I share copies of that with you. It's about the economic benefits of restoration. And I went through it, even though it's pushing 9 years old, it's still quite germane and I think pertinent. So I hope you have time to read it. And the second thing that I dropped off was our calendar. We've never done this before, but this is a small way to raise a little bit of money. You guys got it free, but for everybody else, it's $5. And it's a way to advertise us and advertise City Hall and to teach a little here and there about the nature of the building, the history, the architecture, and so on. So I hope you keep the calendar and you use it and you enjoy it. So for 2020, the year started out really well for us. Our first fundraiser was quite successful. The Blue Denim Ball raised about $7,000 toward restoration. And then, like everybody else, the pandemic hit us too. One thing after another got canceled. And ultimately, what has happened to us is that our 3 major fundraisers for 2020 are gone. And that resulted in the loss of what I would estimate is about $12,000. On top of that, of course, the state canceled charity poker. 4 charity poker games a year netted us between $14,000 and $16,000. That's gone. Now, we're doing other things to raise money, and certainly grants are the major focus of that, and I'll get to that detail in a moment. Operating on funds that we had raised in 2019 through donations and grants, we were able to do a number of important projects. And the first, of course, that I would mention is the installation of the water line. We installed 80 feet of water line. It's a 6-inch pipe, which is a combination of 4-inch diameter for the fire suppression system, 2-inch diameter for domestic use. There was extra expense because they had to dive deeper to go under the foundation of the building. And then, of course, Friends of City Hall was responsible for the repair of the excavation, so topsoil, fill dirt, hydro seeding were also part of that bill. I'm estimating that we spent all told $38,300 on that project. Of course, once that was in, they were able to start the fire suppression system. That ran us approximately $89,000. Today, they're doing a 24-hour test on the system. A 24-hour test is where they pump in 40 pounds of air pressure into the system, lock it down, and then wait. 24 hours later, test the system. In order to pass that test, you can only afford to lose 2 pounds of that pressure over 24 hours. So I don't know the results of that yet, but we're moving closer and closer to finalization of that project, which to me is absolutely thrilling. In the midst of all of this, Ray Skotarczyk, owner of Hearthside Heating, and resident of Marine City, former mayor of Marine City, donated a complete HVAC system to Friends of City Hall and City Hall proper. That has been installed. It is functioning. Last month, when we held our regular monthly meeting in the building, it was warm. It was cold outside, but it was warm in City Hall. I mean, that's a first. It's been a long time since that building was properly heated, but now it is, and thank you, Ray, very, very much. A project that has started but has not finished is the installation of fire doors for the hose towers, one on the second floor, one on the main floor. And I sent you, as an earlier packet, these two images. I don't know if you have them accessible right now, but if you do, take a look at that. There's something quite magical that happened as we prepared to install these fire doors. When they took the old wood off the ground floor door into the hose tower, they exposed a centering device, and that's what you see in the top picture. A centering device is made by stonemasons or brick masons to support an arch under construction. Now, I don't know why, nobody knows why, but that is the original center that's sitting there, dating back to 1884. And it's like a time machine, because when that was installed, there was nothing of the building above it. So just imagine, we are whisked back in time to see that stage of construction in the building. Now, for whatever reason, they chose not to pull the center, which is very unusual, because on every construction site that uses centers, they are pulled out of position once the mortar is dry, and they're recycled elsewhere in the construction site. Well, that didn't happen here. I sent some pictures to the architect that we now have hired, and he was, excuse me, he was very impressed, and one thing that he had to say was, "Don't touch it," and we said, "We won't." We have no intention of removing it, no intention of nailing anything to it or doing anything destructive to it. We want to keep it just as it is. And maybe ultimately it'd be very nice to house it under glass so everybody can see it for the rest of time. The fire doors installation, estimate about $1,500 for that particular project. One thing that we've got to do, which we haven't done yet, is repair 2 sections of sidewalk where the water line went through. And we intend to do it, and we intend to do it before the season shuts down. We're estimating between $500 and $600 for that project. Another thing that we haven't gotten finished is Mr. Smith's lamp post. This has dragged on, and when it was first erected, courtesy of the help of Mayor Vanden Bosch, who did the excavation for the foundation for that lamp post, and thank you, sir. We were sort of shocked at what we heard for prices for doing the trenching and laying in conduit to bring electricity, to that lamppost so we could turn the light on. And I advised that we just simply not spend the money at that time. Since then, John Brenner of Brenner Electric on DeGursey Street has volunteered to do the trenching and the conduit for it. I'm not quite sure where we're at with whether he's pulled a permit. I'm just sort of out of... Pardon?
He just pulled the permit, I just...
So what has to happen next, once that is all finalized, is that we have to appear before the Historical Commission. They had their regular meeting last month. If Mr. Brenner wants to get this work done, this is a gift, to the city, I'm sure he wants to get it done this fall, so I would like to request a special meeting of the Historical Commission so that we can make this presentation to them. They can vote on it. They've approved it once before, but we were unable to finish that job. So I don't expect any kind of controversy or whatever. I think it will all be very pro forma. So I'd like to talk to you more about this soon. So those are the projects that we've got done. What's next? And what's next is huge, and that is the installation of an elevator. Michael Smith, I'm sorry, that's not his, Michael Kirk, who is an employee of Newman Smith Architects, did the original restoration drawings, and the city has copies of that. Elaine has it in her files, and if you're curious about that, you can get a copy from Elaine. In those drawings, Michael located the elevator just inside the southwest door to City Hall. Now that has to be our main entrance because it's barrier-free. And so you enter and, the elevator's right there for you. We have hired an architect named Stephen Flum, and Stephen is located in Detroit. He is a very close friend of Michael Kirk. He was recommended, actually, by Michael Kirk. He has a lot of experience in restoration work. He's been to City Hall. He's very excited about the building. He loves it. And we have contracted with him to do construction drawings for the elevator and a men's bathroom and a ladies' bathroom on the main floor. So now the question becomes, how do we pay for it? And what we have done so far is apply for a series of grants. The first one that we submitted was the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation. That grant asks for $200,000. Of course, it is traditional with foundations that you don't hear from them until you get an acceptance or a turn down. So we are waiting on that. The next grant that we submitted was the Herbert and Grace Dow Foundation grant. That also was for $200,000. We applied to them last year and we were turned down. We got a very nice letter of rejection that said, well, that was a nice application. However, our money designated for your region of Michigan has already been spent, so you're not getting a grant from us. Well, this year, I got email contact from the grant administrator from Dow Foundation, and she said, your grant is going before the Board of Trustees, which I found very, very exciting. She said, I think they're going to ask you a series of questions. Here are the questions. Can you supply some answers? Which I did pronto. So that doesn't mean we're going to absolutely get a grant, but it's terribly good news and very, very encouraging. In addition, we have written and will submit next month a grant application to St. Clair County Community Foundation. That'll be for $50,000. We entered the Gannett Foundation Mighty Cause fundraiser, which you may have read about in the newspaper. First phase of that raised over $3,000 for us. We're now eligible for the second phase, where they decide if we will compete locally or regionally or nationally. And they'll let us know that this month. Regionally, probably will, if we get it, bring in another $5,000. Nationally, if we get it, could be as much as $100,000. MCACA, or Michigan Council for the Arts and Cultural Affairs, is the next grant to go in. That will also be submitted in the latter part of December. And finally, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has been extremely helpful with us. They're based, of course, in Washington, D.C., and I sent them a letter raising questions about which funds were best for us. And I described in detail what we're doing, you know, the history of the building and so on. A woman named Lizzie Behringer got back in touch with me. She's the assistant manager of grant awards. And long communication with lots of detail. Her recommendation is that we apply for the National Trust Preservation Fund and the Cynthia Mitchell Interior Restoration Fund, which also applies for ADA compliance. The first grant I mentioned is worth $5,000, and the Mitchell grant is worth $15,000. On top of that, of course, we receive donations in the mail. We did a mail campaign that brought in about $5,000 over the last 2 months. We also collect VG supermarket receipts. And if you can gather $150,000 worth of receipts, VG gives you a check for $1,000. We are just a few $1,000 short of that $150,000 mark. So that's like easy money, except for Georgia Phelan, who has to total up all of those receipts. The woman of patience, not a job I would like. On the white paper that I distributed for you, I clipped my, my business card. And I would encourage you to give me a call or send me an email if you've got a question or you've got a concern about, you know, what's happening with our work at City Hall. I love talking about the building. I love taking people through the building. So I know that you have been on tour once already. And I would encourage that we organize another tour. Well, let me turn my attention away from the interior of City Hall and talk to you about the exterior. The exterior of that building is a city responsibility, and we've got some problems that are developing there. One is that some paint is chipping and peeling on doors and windows, especially lower to the ground where the weather and snow and what have you get to them. While it's a small touch-up job, I would advise that the city see to repainting those areas. Second is, I think, a little more critical and more expensive, and that is tuck pointing. And I'm alarmed to see that some of the mortar has broken down and some of those bricks have begun to shift in certain places on the building. It's not horrendous yet, but it obviously is something that's going to progress. So I would urge that you look at it. And I have asked our architect to recommend a specialist so that I can, you know, hand that information to you as well, because it has to be, you know, old brick and soft mortar. And whoever does the work has to understand that and not force modern and strange materials on the building. So the last thing then that I want to report on is the bandstand on the property. The bandstand is in really bad shape. I would personally say it's in dangerous shape. The staircase that takes you up to the elevated surface is very rickety. And the handrail is rotten. And I think somebody climbing it, maybe a misstep and grab that rail, I don't know that it would hold them and, you know, prevent them from a serious fall. There are electrical problems with the structure. There's two problems with the ceiling. There's rotten boards in the floor. I have met on site with Mike Gettrich to go over some of these issues and take a look at it. That particular structure was put together by the men of Pride and Heritage Museum years ago, and they took responsibility for it. Now, I have talked with Gary Beal in detail about this, And Gary told me both verbally and in writing that Pride and Heritage Museum is unable to do anything about that bandstand, that they're washing their hands of it. So I don't know that Friends of City Hall has necessarily yet inherited that problem. However, I know that that bandstand is a big emotional structure in town. It has style and meaning to so many people who got married in the thing. So it's important, I think, to preserve it for a number of reasons. I have made an offer to Mike, and I'm making it to you, to write for grants to restore the building. It's either going to be a very expensive restoration process, or it's going to require demolition and rebuilding. So I'm thinking that Michigan Council for the Arts is a perfect source for that kind of money, as well as St. Clair County Community Foundation Blue Water Arts. And I think they would find that, very, very exciting. Because of its emotional and historic function in the community, I also think it is a natural for a community fundraiser. And that's my report, and thank you for your attention on such a long agenda tonight. Are there any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
That was well done.
Very well done. All right, moving on to liquor license, local government approval for John Sapienza at River Place Art Pavilion. Class C liquor license.
So this is just the local approval that would go to the state. And for a Class C liquor license, it's retail sales of beer, wine, and spirits on the property.
Is he transferring this from another?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, my understanding before, he's talked to the liquor control before, and apparently the liquor control has given out way too many permits, and so at one time, they wouldn't give him one, even though we were 3 over on permits. So I think John is just trying to get something established for his business to get this going.
But at his business, he's
This is
not
fine.
a banquet hall.
No.
Or a restaurant.
No, he's gonna have, he has bands in there, he's gonna have artists that can sell things, or he can turn it into a venue where you can have a wedding, or
He
you can
doesn't even
have.
have heat in here, though.
Yeah, he's got bathrooms in there and everything.
Not during the winter.
Well, he may if he can use it more, but right now, he's shut down like everybody
And
else.
he shut down due to Wuhan flu. So, but do we want, because this is just an application.
Right.
It's our approval that he can apply then to the state of Michigan, correct?
That's correct. You're just
So-
a starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not approving him to get one, we're just
No.
approving the application.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he can try all he wants. He might not get it.
Absolutely,
They will look at the issues you're raising.
yes.
And any potential issues that you could raise might be that there are too many liquor licenses already in the proximity, that it's too close to a school, too close to a church. Those are things that you could take into consideration and provide feedback for your vote to the state.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, John's done a lot of work on this place. He's tried to do everything by the book. He's tried to do everything the right way, and yet, he just wants to run his venue like everybody else does. So, I mean, I would.
It's been a slow process, definitely,
Yeah.
but,
Well, he does it all
he's been
himself.
He's been working towards goals.
Yeah.
Are
So,
you making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we
Go.
approve his application for liquor license.
Support.
Motion support. Any other questions on it? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Infrastructure Subcommittee.
Looking to get this moving forward again, and the previous members that we had were Bill Clausen, Jacob Bryson, Mike Ittrich, Joe Moran, and Trent Atterbury. I've spoken with Trent and Joe and Mike, and I just mentioned it to Jacob and had emailed Bill Clausen to see if everyone's willing to serve. Sounds like, I think everybody is. I think Bill's the only one I didn't get feedback from.
Oh.
You're willing to serve again?
Yeah.
So if everyone's willing to serve, I would like the board would move forward with these members of the infrastructure
We
subcommittee.
didn't close it out, so just,
Well, we can't have standing committees, and when they make their decision and their recommendation to the board, that's the end of the committee. So we need to move forward with a reconstituted version of the committee again.
can I get a motion to reconstitute the board?
So
with
moved.
existing players? Yeah.
So moved.
Motion support. Any questions on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. City Commission vacancy. We will be short one person, meets every first and third Thursday of the month at 7, hopefully getting out much sooner than we did tonight. Interested candidates should submit the following to the city clerk on or before November 18th. Board application resume is optional. Board applications are available at the clerk's office or at www.cityofmarincity.org. Next, announcements for board vacancies. We have one for the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have one for the Board of Review. We have 3 for the Historical Commission, 1 for the TIFA, 1 for Planning, and 1 for Economic Development. Anything else, Chris?
And we have a due date,
Yeah.
Thursday,
Oh.
November 19th.
Thursday, November 19th. But since you're not getting very many, you'll take them anytime.
You won't be rejected for being a day late.
No. And we need participation. It is huge to help us run the community and have your voices heard.
Got a question?
You have a question?
Yeah.
Oh.
We've had an election.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, if it goes through, everything's through right, I think you're gonna have 2 people on the planning commission as commissioners. Can't have.
So Brian Ross was elected, and he's on the planning commission. And right now, Bill is on city commission and serves as our representative, so there will be a vacancy on planning commission. One of the 2 of them will,
One has to go.
or,
So when you have your first meeting, ask them.
I just wanted to make it aware.
Okay. So you may need one more.
Mr. Mayor, you can work on this in December.
You jinxed me. Anyway, we have no items removed from the consent agenda. City manager's report.
let's see, the water tank maintenance contract with Suez is renewing in February with no cost increase. However, the next year, there will be a 5% increase per their contract. We do still have money with them for painting, so that's something that we're gonna wanna carefully look at over the next year if we determine that we would want to bid that out. The Bell St. Clair Street construction projects are nearly completed. There are some minor details that they're still working on and doing some of the site cleanup. We're waiting for the contractor for Broadway and South Water to do those paving projects. RFP for City Hall, I've been working on a draft and working with the attorney and contacting some contractors about that, should be on our next agenda for approval. I'm working on a coastal grant with Joe Moran from our CED board and Planning Commission, and then also Mike Ittrich on the kayak launch coastal grant. We are going to be kind of short-staffed in our office over the next couple of months due to holidays, COVID, vacations, things like that. So just wanted to let everyone know to please be patient with our office. And then I'd love to thank Dave. It was very nice working with you as mayor and working on the agendas. It was a great experience. And also Paul for serving. Thank you to both of you guys. And then also a big thank you to Chris and Michelle and her team. I know that the building up to this election took a lot of effort and strain, and
Glad it's over.
I'm glad you made it through on the other side, and we appreciate all your hard work.
You were one of the shortest lines of all the polls I went to, because I went to every one of my polls for the county commission in District 7, and by far the shortest lines, and you were moving them through, because since we have nothing else to do when we poll, sit and wave and smile at people, we count how fast you're moving them through. And you were the quickest at all the polls, so.
The workers did a great job. I think
Yeah.
the longest wait was 45 minutes at dinner time. It was not bad.
No, no.
I went up, spoke with people in line throughout the day, and I said, how long have you been waiting? And they said, 10, 15 minutes has been great. So when you came in at a time, we had a ballot jam, so.
Yeah.
I think you jinxed me when you walked
Sneak in,
the
there's
door.
no line, I'm gonna get right up. Your tabulator's
I had
jammed.
a great help from great deputy clerk and workers. And
They did a phenomenal
people
job.
were very pleasant.
It was nice.
It was very,
Good
very
weather,
busy.
too.
Good weather, yeah.
People- Yeah, that
weather
helped,
to
but
stand
people were
outside.
very pleasant.
Good weather to stand outside.
Yep,
Yeah.
we did it all day.
Yeah, there was a line when I left.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and I was impressed with the number of people that voted.
I was happy about
Mhm.
that. As hard as it is for us, we're happy they got out to vote.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Anything else, anybody have any questions for the city manager? Nothing? I should have made something up. Paul, you want to start us out on commissioner privilege and liaison reports?
Sure. So seeing that it is my last meeting here, I did write something down. And if you give me a second, I'll pull it up on this mobile tracking device. that I have.
2001. Your second.
So it has been an honor to serve the citizens of Marine City as a commissioner. The city has a great history and a wonderful future, and my hope is to see it continue to progress. Not in the way of becoming commercialized, but in continuing with its hometown, boutique, cottage industry feel. I trust that our city manager, mayor, and commission can work together to encourage entrepreneurs to come to Marine City to establish new business. Marine City can't live in the past, but it surely should promote its rich shipbuilding history and promote its nautical heritage. The people of Marine City need to awaken and understand that progress isn't taking away from them, but enhancing what they already have and bettering what it can be. Projects like new construction, redevelopment of old buildings or land into vibrant areas only adds to the community and to the community's bottom line. I hope with new members to the commission and our new mayor, along with positive city leadership, Marine City will continue to be the jewel of the Blue Water area. And thank you for having me as a commissioner.
Mr. Clausen.
Thank you, Paul, for coming aboard. And anybody that's interested in the vacancies for the commission, please do your civic duty. Thank you.
Wendy.
I just want to thank Paul. It's been great working with you. I remember when we talked you into, the night we talked you into doing this. But no, and I do want to go with what Commissioner Clausen said. We need people, So, I mean, I think, we had three vacancies, and, we had 3 seats open and we only had 3 candidates, so, we would have liked to have seen somebody else in there, just not that we're not happy with what we've got, but just so that, hey, so we can see that people are interested. So we have a lot of board vacancies that we need filled, so we just need people to be here. Dave, it's been awesome working with you, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then one final thing, we've all gone through a rough, stressful week, I think, and I don't think it's over yet, but I'm proud of Marine City. One of Chris's workers posted on Facebook, and Chris said it again, how polite and how pleasant everyone was. And so I know Marine City can be like that, so, you know, hey, if we just have to stick close to home for a while, then so be it, you know? But we'll get through this, and we're all still gonna be friends. So, thank you.
Lisa? Yeah. Okay, I want to I thanked you guys last week, but you weren't here. So I want to thank you again for you taking on the position, because it's not always an easy job, you know. And Dave also, it's been great working with you guys. I want to also thank everybody who got out and did vote. I know we didn't have opposition this time, but it's still nice to see all the support. Those of us been on here, we try so hard to do the right thing for the community, watch out for the people, get the information out there. So it's really nice to see everybody that still supports those of us that have been on here. I'd like to also give my condolences to Jack Kelly's family. I know a lot of you know Jack. Jack was our police chief here for a lot of years, and he recently passed away. And Jack was kind of a private guy, but my condolences to his sister Gail. She took care of him, and Jack was a character all the way to the end. So I used to visit him on occasion, and he still loved this town no matter what happened, but he loved it. The Lions parking lot, we got it paved. Woo-hoo. They just finished it up, so we're getting there. I also want to say what a great job on the election. I know there was a lot of stuff floating around on Facebook about the markers. So thanks for putting all that out there, because I know it's hard to do all that. And I know you got the streets paved, but I heard too, they're all happy because they all got water pressure now because you replaced the water lines. So they were all...
And they won't, hopefully don't freeze. If it gets
This
that
winter,
cold,
yes. Those were all
very shallow and would freeze quite often.
So, and it was so nice driving down St. Clair Street without all the rubble. So, anyway, that's it for me tonight.
Just Dave and Paul, thank you. You will be missed. Ed.
Anything else?
Nope.
Oh. Well, I've got a lot of people to thank. It's been a pleasure, because, I mean, I grew up here. It's bittersweet to move on, because I kind of love the job, but I think I can do more for the community where I'm going. I think I can help more people. I've already got pulled into 6 or 7 projects already, and we'll see if I can upset the apple cart up there a little bit too, because it's all about the South to me. So, and they'll know it. And we had some great people here, and that's why I'm going to be glad to still represent you, just in a different way. I mean, Paul, I know it took a Christmas party to get you talked into maybe a couple of glasses of wine here and there, but it was great to see you. You gave a different perspective to the commission. Some of us, I'm so oriented on the fire, police, and streets, and you kind of you took a different look at it. And sometimes I go 100 miles in one direction, but sometimes it's in reverse. So it's you kind of help focus us a little bit. So thank you. And Lisa, we've argued.
Well, but that's part of it.
It is, and we could disagree and still remain friends. And I hope that exists after I'm gone, because I'm still coming back on, I think, the November or December meeting.
December.
But
Mid-summer.
I can come back
Whenever you want.
well this month, because I'm going to be done at this position.
We'll see.
No matter how you're going to jinx me, and I don't start until January. So, and hopefully I get a good subcommittee appointment, and I can help out some more. And I'm still going to be here as your assistant fire chief and helping out in the community too. So, and I'm like I said, I'm going to miss it. And I enjoyed the weddings. I married people in some interesting locations. I couldn't say no. Anytime Chris asked, I said, "Yeah, I'll be there." And I think that's what a mayor's job is, to be the cheerleader chief cook and bottle washer. And I know one lady had me picking up a park every year. I mean, pumpkin guts and plastic that I throw away. Yes, lots. So that was my janitorial services I gave back to the city on that one. So, but thank everybody for all the things you guys have done for me and with me, and I sometimes even tear up. Wouldn't be the first time. With that, we need to, I better not. I'd love to thank my wife, though, before this is all said and done. She's put up with a lot of grief. A lot of people knocking on the door, a lot of people coming up to us in the middle of dinner, and our dinner gets cold while I'm expounding on different things for the city, and she stops eating also, and smiles, and she was a good first lady, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's put up a lot of grief, and my son thinks we're done talking about city politics. Now we're going to county politics.
Yeah.
It's even bigger.
Far from done.
So, with that, the city commission will enter into a closed session to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute MCL 15.268H. There may or may not be action taken upon returning to open session, but I do need a motion to enter closed session.
So moved.
Support. Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Merchant.
Yes.
Mayor Annabelle.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.